All right, today we are diving into one of the great anthropological mysteries of the 20th century. We're talking about the Dogon people of West Africa and their impossible knowledge of the cosmos. It seems their ancient tradition describes a star that modern science couldn't even see until the 1800s. Okay, let's get right into it because this is the puzzle that has had scholars scratching their heads for nearly 100 years. The Dogon people have this incredibly specific knowledge about the star system Sirius, but it's what they know about its tiny companion star that raises some truly mind-bending questions. So, this slide right here, it lays out the mystery perfectly. On the left, you've got the Dogon tradition. They describe a companion to Sirius called Po Tolo. And get this, they say it's tiny, dark, and unbelievably dense. They call it the heaviest available thing. Now look at the right. That's modern astronomy, which only managed to confirm this companion star, Sirius B, in 1862. And the description? It's a perfect match. It's a white dwarf, small, incredibly dense, and totally invisible to the naked eye. So, of course, that's the million-dollar question. It sparked decades of wild debate. People have thrown out all kinds of ideas, from ancient alien visitors to some kind of lost knowledge from ancient Egypt. But here's our twist. What if that's not even the most important question we should be asking? So let's try to shift our focus a bit. Instead of getting stuck on the how, what if we ask what this impossible knowledge tells us about the Dogon's entire system for preserving truth? Because the answer probably isn't some simple, easy fact. It's more like a window into a completely different way of knowing the world. To get to the bottom of this, we have to look at their creation story. See, to understand their astronomy, you first have to understand their cosmology, their story of how absolutely everything came to be. Okay, so it all begins with Amma, the creator, who held the entire universe inside a cosmic egg. From this egg, Amma created the Nommo, these 8 amphibious beings, arranged in perfect complementary pairs. And then, the Nommo descended to Earth from the Sirius system in a vessel they describe as a Chariot of Fire, bringing all of this cosmic knowledge with them. And this quote, it really gets to the heart of it. For the Dogon, knowledge about the universe wasn't something they discovered through centuries of trial and error. Nope, it was transmitted, given to them directly from a celestial source. That is a fundamentally different starting point than pretty much all of Western science. But, this perfect cosmic plan, it didn't quite go off without a hitch. The Dogon tradition explains that a massive disruption happened, an event that explains why the world we live in today is so imperfect. So on this slide, you can see the two forces at play. On one side, you've got the Nommo, created in these perfect, balanced pairs to represent cosmic order. But then you have this other figure, Ogo, the pale fox. He was impatient, he was incomplete, and he burst out of the cosmic egg before he was fully formed. And that one rash act, it introduced chaos and imbalance into the universe. So, to fix this cosmic mess, something really profound had to happen. A sacrifice was required. The most complete, the most organized of the Nommo was sacrificed and dismembered. Now, I know that sounds incredibly violent, but in the Dogon worldview, this wasn't just about destruction. It was actually the essential step needed to reorganize the entire universe. Just think about that for a second. That one idea is just so powerful. The sacrifice wasn't an ending at all. It was a brand new beginning. The scattered body parts of the Nommo became the stars, seeding the heavens with a new kind of order. It transformed a moment of violent disruption into a generative, creative act. Okay, so if the world is imperfect, and this incredible knowledge was transmitted from the heavens, you've got to ask, right? How do you protect it? How do you stop this sacred information from getting corrupted or just completely lost over thousands of years? Well, the answer is a figure known as the Hogun. The Hogun is the highest spiritual authority for the Dogon. You can think of them as a living vessel for that sacred knowledge passed down from the Nommo. Their entire life is dedicated to one massive, monumental task, making sure that cosmic truth is preserved, faithfully and perfectly. And when we say dedicated, we really mean it. Preserving this knowledge requires an incredible level of commitment, which you can see in the Hogon's daily life. These aren't just symbolic rituals. You could almost think of them as a kind of technology of preservation. They're the specific, necessary things you have to do to make sure the sacred transmission stays pure and doesn't get corrupted as it passes through the generations. Okay, so let's bring this all back home. How does all of this, the creation myth, the disruption, the intense commitment of the Hogon, how does it all connect back to that impossible star, Po Tolo? And here we are, back at the big question. But now we have a totally new context for understanding it. We've seen that for the Dogon, knowledge isn't just a bunch of facts in a book. It's a sacred inheritance that is kept alive through immense personal and communal effort. And this is the real shift in thinking. The fact that they have this astronomical knowledge, maybe it's less of a mystery we need to solve, and more the ultimate proof that their system of preservation is astonishingly good. Their knowledge of Po Tolo is the evidence that their system works. This slide really breaks down these two fundamentally different ways of seeing the world. Western thinking tends to put a wall between the sacred and the intellectual. We rely on written documents, on instruments, on empirical proof, but the Dogon epistemology sees them as totally unified, just two different angles on the exact same truth. And their method of preservation isn't a library full of books. It's the demanding, lived commitment of the Hogon. For them, the proof isn't a photograph from a telescope. It's the fact that the knowledge itself persisted, accurately across centuries. And that's why this is such a big deal. The astronomical accuracy of the Dogon isn't just some fascinating piece of trivia. It is powerful, tangible proof of an alternative way of knowing, one that values sacred transmission and deep personal commitment as the best way to keep a truth alive and pure over time. And this really leaves us with a final provocative thought. The story of the Dogon suggests that knowledge can be preserved in ways that we in the modern world barely even comprehend. It really makes you wonder, if we started asking not how did they know, but what does their knowing reveal? What other profound truths might we find hidden away in traditions we have yet to truly understand?